哇好屌，所以影評啊，喺大概14小時之前咧有第二輪嘅即係 War Dog Government UFO 嗰個咧係第二輪爆料啦。咁我都覺得就值得睇嘅，因為我自己你連第一波嗰啲資料我諗住慢慢睇咧都未睇，依家嚟第二波就簡單嚟講啦。嗱，上一波就多鐵球啦，同埋多嗰個嘅八角星啦，嗰個最爆啦。咁今次咧鐵球嗰啲就少啲，調翻轉咧就會多啲咧係突然加速。突然加速你嗰啲解釋唔到啦，你話似 drones 咁你都可能夾硬俾你話解釋到，但係你 drones 冇理由咁高速飛行，然後再突然加速嗰下咧講唔通嘅。同埋有啲係同戰機鬥快啦，然後仲有一個再爆啲嘅就係戰機射佢落嚟啦。咁究竟嗰啲係純粹係人類所整嘅，類似你當係熱氣球嗰啲係最簡單嘅解釋嚟㗎啦。咁但係會唔會嗰個嘅 UAP 就好似上次好機車爆料嗰啲咧，好似水母型觸鬚嗰啲射 Q 咗落嚟？咁依家咧就又係縮細我自己。咁今日主要咧我用兩段嘅影片嘅嚇。咁第一段咧不嬲我都係中意呢個 forensic expert 嘅，咁佢有好多嘅專業啦，就係鑑證嗰方面啦 ，forensic expert analysis。不過佢都再講咧，呢個就係一個初步嘅觀感啫。但係我覺得值得睇嘅，咁因為第二波裏邊都要靠鬼佬咧去嚟睇先，我都冇時間睇啦。咁佢第一個嘅解讀咧，就係講解翻一啲嘅證人證詞啦，即係佢話會見到一個咧係1972年嘅 ，OK， 咁就係見到綠色嘅 UAP 啊，係啊，咁佢係描述得咧好清楚嘅嚇。咁但係個問題就係咧，你都係純粹文字版啫。佢都講嗱10秒至15秒，你睇住佢嘅嚇，然後再睇住佢變化咁樣樣。咁但係因為你文字版咧，點都係唔夠，即係一啲嘅影像咁吸引嘅。不過今次咧，你第二波咧都仲未有咧，係嗰啲4種種族嗰啲個相片俾你睇到啦，未有啲嘅影片咧影住佢哋同啲軍人交流啊，或者係有啲真係之前嘅爆料就係咧，佢係用嗰啲嘅。有特異功能人士啊，即係同佢心靈感應咁溝通嘅嚇。咁當然呢啲你可以睇翻咧 Richard Doty 咧，即係前空軍特工嗰啲嘅見證啦，因為有好多即係再深入啲嘅資料可以爆出嚟㗎。咁依家咧就睇翻佢依家 call 出嚟嘅 UAP 先，其實佢都未睇晒嘅，所以我應該要 call 另一段啦嚇。咁今日爆嗰啲就係入水能游、出水能飛啦，咁影住佢啊。咁呢啲文字記錄呢一個見證就，我聽完佢講我都覺得冇乜興趣。一來你冇圖啦，你齋讀字咁樣，你自己腦補啦嚇。好。
So as you saw that object fly up and fly off, that looked unusual. Part of what I'm going to be looking at today is whether or not some of these could be bugs, whether or not they actually.
嗱，你今次再分析就係咧，究竟係咪所有都係 UAP 嚟嘅？咁但係喺我角度咧。即係佢俾得你睇，應該話戰爭俾得你睇嘅咧，其實傾向都係一定 UAP 嚟㗎啦。只不過係你當10分就10分係 UAP，5分就一半一半。咁我傾向大部分都係10分嘅，唔係有7至8咁樣咯。甚至上一輪第一輪嗰個爆料咧，嗰個八角星啦，我都傾向信佢係7-8成都係 UAP 嚟嘅。咁今次分析一下一啲嚇，咁頭先嗰個都唔知乜嚟啦。
flow in some sort of organic motion, something that we're more familiar with.
即係可能似生物咁樣喐動喎 ，organic motion 啊，即係有時啲生物咧避下你啊，即係佢突然間最左邊去下右邊，又前又後咁跳 cha-cha 咁。
I've never seen anything to look like that before. So this is an enhanced version.
冇人都見過呢啲嘢。
Look at the speed of this.
嗱，我話睇個速度，不過衰在遮晒啊，同埋你冇戰機對比咧，咁但係睇到係超快嘅。你可以仍然都係話咧。呢啲係有時有啲師兄咧自己整啲 drones 或者將啲 drones 咧加插唔同嘅裝飾啊嘛，令到好似戰機咁樣啊，因為你純粹一個人類嘅遙控模型咧，咁我梗係覺得唔係啦。即係如果你咁講嘅時候，你即係當嗰班軍方係白痴咩？不過 anyway 再睇幾樣。
It's going quite fast, and then when it just zooms off, there's nothing that I've ever seen that flies in that kind of motion that with that level of speed.
嗱，頭先特別即係咧，我唔知你見唔見到。佢加速嗰下咧，今次呢個第二輪爆料咧，有好多條片佢突然間加速㗎。咁你突然間加速嗰啲咧，就已經印證咗咧，佢哋唔係普通嘅 drones 啦，一定唔係人類嘅 drones 啦，你冇可能咁樣突然加速㗎。你好多時候你都係極其量你見到即係 drones 佢，我估係40-50K 每小時。 你唔會去到即係咁樣衝一聲咁快噶嘛。仲有就係咧，我唔知你頭先留唔留意到咧，佢變形喎，係啊 UAP 變形啦，你見到佢下邊咧有少少係三尖八角嘅咧，佢可能係突然間係扭轉咗，或者係變形咧。再睇一次。
And when we look at the speed of this, you can tell it's going quite fast, and then when it just zooms off, there's nothing that I've ever seen that flies in that kind of motion.
變咗一粒啦，睇唔睇到啊？所以我覺得即係依個先至係誇張，我覺得兩個原因，兩個誇張嘅原因：一突然間加速，第二變形你可以繼續選擇相信係人類嘅 drones 嘅，咁但係你就解釋唔到點樣突然間加速啦，同埋嗰種嘅變形啦，可能真係當變形金剛啩。咁我當你有啲師兄真係將啲補品加咗個 drones 度，咁你都冇可能突然間加速度啊，以嗰個速度。又再重播。佢都講啦 ，ability 佢有呢個能力咧加速，好誇張，係又有呢啲 UAP 係咁樣突然間加速咯，你追佢唔到啦，拖落去唔河，好似同你講，你睇到個車尾燈，我當你贏，差唔多係咁樣。嗱，然後咧佢就喺度賣廣告嘅，好似，咁我就跳咗去個廣告啦，唔好意思啊，師兄，好跳。
Own technology. When we think about different technologies that we use, the ability to accelerate like that, I haven't seen anything that can move quick.
即係誠實啲啦，我哋即係人類見人類機體咁樣樣，唔同嘅戰機，你未見過戰機可以咁樣突然間加速之外咧，冇音爆嘅喎。
Like that. Now we're going to watch a little bit more of the video so you can have the full context because they also released it the long form. Now what's so fascinating about this though is that it moves around almost organically. It almost looks like the movement of something like an insect because it's so fluid. We don't
係啦，佢嗰個 organic 咧，即係點解好似生物咁樣？你會見到佢話似昆蟲嘅，即係你話人類機體可能嚟直線咁去啦，有時候。咁當然你都係會有時變動軌跡嘅，咁但係嗰種咧可能真係似你當蜻蜓、烏蠅，係啊，總係覺得佢唔係咁死咕咕，唔係一嚿冷冰冰嘅機器嚟嘅。咁如果講翻電影嘅話，就好似 Nope 咁樣樣，佢就假設咗咧嗰個 UFO 其實係一隻生物，係一隻 predator 嚟嘅係一隻 organic predator， 不過匿喺個雲度得閒就出嚟獵食㗎啦咁有時啲馬唔見咗諸如此類咁樣，呢個就 Nope 嗰個設定，呢個電影嚟嘅啫。不過依家佢咁樣描述嘅時候，有啲時候都唔出奇嘅喎，即係機體未必等於一定係生勾勾冷冰冰嘅機器㗎嘛所以有時有啲電影，譬如話Alien 嗰啲嘅 Space Jockey， 佢着嗰套 suit 咧，其實都好似個生物嘅 suit 咁樣樣嘅，唔係一個冷冰冰嘅 physical 嘅 suit 咁簡單嚟嘅。嗰個係 organic suit 即係個好大支大炮嗰個咧，嗰個 jockey 個胸爆咗喎，第一集 Space Jockey。咁有時有啲漫畫又係韓國嗰個漫畫，我唔係好記得係乜嘢。我遲啲如果可以插圖咁會睇到佢有時啲 shoot 咧係 organic 嘅。呢種感覺係幾特別，會唔會依家就係唔單止係 sci-fi 嘅描述係咁，其實有一類嘅 UAP 咧，其實佢哋係 organic 嚟嘅咧即係有啲似係 Gunbuster 動畫裏邊咧嗰啲外星怪獸啦，一隻隻蟲嚟嘅，嗰啲太空船係啲蟲嚟嘅，蟲裏邊有蟲咁樣啦我再睇下。係嗱左搖右擺，好似好悠閒咁樣。個高速公路玩下左線又 cut 到右線，又 cut 到左線
Like this does make it have an almost organic feel.
即係好似去旅行咁嚟地球旅行。但係又超高速喎，突然間。有啲仲突然間入咗水又出翻嚟一間部。
But if you were to just see that motion, you might think it's an insect. You might think it's something.
佢就話 organic 嘅原因 ，organic 嘅原因就喺度啦，即係似係昆蟲咁樣有時，就唔似係一種冷冰冰嘅機體咯。
As I said, typically don't fly like this. We have drones that can move around like that, but that certainly doesn't look like a drone. And drones certainly can't.
Drones 就唔會係咁 organic 昆蟲型或者昆蟲模式嗰種移動方法噶嘛。 咁佢呢個觀察係幾好嘅，即係喺上一輪裏邊我哋都冇講到 organic 呢樣嘢。咁今次咧佢描述多咗 organic，我都幾同意呢種特徵，就係、是、你第二波爆料嘅裏邊咧，我係所睇到嘅一個特點嚟嘅。頭先講咗個特點，即係不嬲都有㗎啦，突然間加速，人類又追佢唔到嘅嚇，啲鏡頭追佢唔到，戰機追佢唔到。咁依家仲講埋咧，佢個喐動咧，佢個 motion 咧，佢個軌跡咧係似昆蟲。
Accelerate at the way that it does at the very, very end.
臨尾加速。zoom 埋去睇下。
And here's where we're getting back to the clip that you saw just a minute ago. This is where it's zoomed in on whatever this object is.
係啊，都係頭先同一段片嚟嘅，不過就用咗唔同嘅角度啦。咁最後再俾你睇多次啦，加速。咁即係非常之 amazing 嘅。咁當然啦，如果有啲師兄覺得蒙查查嘅有乜有乜，因為你要了解翻，即係睇翻我之前影片解釋翻點解要用紅外線啦。同埋佢咁高速移動嘅時候咧，你點都有少少蒙係好正常嘅。
And to me, this was just remarkable. So I would say that as far as forensic，
佢仲要 zoom in 喎，即係你個像素又會降低咗噶嘛。如果係 zoom in 嘅時候
value, this has a very high forensic value. I think that this is good evidence for something that we really can't explain.
冇錯，佢講得啱嘅，即係我唔好咁快就跳到去係一定即係一定外星飛船，但係我哋係解釋唔到嘅 UAP 咧。又真係中咗好多唔同嘅描述㗎嘛，係咪啊？突然間加速啦，好似昆蟲咁樣喐法啦。頭先我話好似真係去旅行好舒服，悠哉悠哉咁飛。依個又另一個爆係咩咧？我覺得係個隊形啊。咁當然佢應該都會解釋嘅，有一啲嘅即係反駁隊啦，咁都係會話係咪雀仔啊？季候鳥一齊飛。咁你季候鳥係三角形啦，即係帶頭嗰隻係隊長啦，最捱得㗎啦。咁然後佢哋就係靠嗰個互相即係依傍嗰種嘅封阻啦，前面嗰隻又有一個氣流保護後邊嗰隻一隻咁保護，咁佢哋有一個嘅原理咧 inborn 咗佢哋 DNA 裏邊嘅。咁當佢哋咧季後即係遷徙嘅時候咧，佢哋會有嗰個隊形㗎啦，好得意嘅。咁但係嗰個隊形就唔係季候鳥嗰隻啦，佢個樣都唔係季候鳥啊。咁但係好得意就係咧。好多時候好多嘅見證咧，如果你睇翻我之前推介俾你嘅紀錄片咧，佢哋係有隊形啊 formation， 咁嗰下先話俾你聽，佢哋係有智慧㗎嘛唔係咧無端端突然間出現不可解釋咁簡單，佢係不可解釋嘅有智慧嘅隊形啊嘅 UAP。
Now this one right here is highly puzzling because I can imagine watching this people saying, well, maybe those are just birds. The shape is a little bit odd. The formation is pretty strange. But maybe it's just birds. Maybe it's just a
係啦，你就算見到咁怪嘅組合，咁你仍然都話係雀，咁即係都冇理符啊！同埋個外形咁怪喎，唔係雀喎你當然你可以繼續話都係雀嘅。
fast-moving, man-made kind of drone. Maybe it's some kind of
好啦，最後唔係雀，咁係咪又係人類嘅 drones 咧？即係以人類嘅 drones，你可以砌唔同嘅圖案。咁你依家用呢一種嘅模式去飛，又有一定可能性嘅。不過個可能性有幾高咁解啫。我喺個角度就 UAP 嘅可能性咧，呢個係9成9嚟嘅。人類嘅 drones 大家整呢個嘅隊形咧，我覺得係即係0.001咁咯。
weapon or something like that. But we're about to see it does some very odd maneuvering. Not saying it's beyond the capacity for humans.
我覺得咧，佢今次咧，佢嘅移動軌跡就直線嘅，所以移動軌跡咧就唔係 organic，唔係有機嘅，唔係好似昆蟲咁嘅。但係佢嗰個嘅隊形就好抵死嘅，我覺得。有一次係咩？我角度有一次咧，前個電單車隔離咪有一個 seat 位嘅，有啲舊式嘅電單車咧，咁有 seat 位嗰個仲可以坐人，有啲係揸交機槍嗰種，有少少咁樣嘅隊形咯，一邊電單車加多個位咁樣。
To make anything like this, but I've never seen anything like this.
係啊，即係我哋都未見過啲咁嘅嘢嘅時候咧，即係歸類佢為 UAP 係好合理啦，唔似人類機體，唔似人類機體嘅隊形。亦都唔似係雀仔。如果你夾硬話係 drones 嘅時候咧，咁睇下陣間會突然間加速啦就 drones 就做唔到啦。
But you're going to see these objects actually go under the surface in a second. They go under the water.
呢個爆啦原來。
I'll show you when it happens. They're going to start to look more.
入水能游仲係高速啊咁以前咧都講過，我哋不單止係 UFO 咧，佢突然間加速你追佢唔到啊。佢 USO Unidentified Sea Object 咧，佢喺水底裏邊咧，有時好多嘅核潛艇都 detect 到佢哋係快過核潛艇4倍、5倍嘅速度喎，無視水阻咁樣㗎，係好 誇張。所以其實 USO 嗰個見證人亦都好爆嘅。咁但係我哋而家齋睇嘅咧，好多時候咧第一輪嗰啲都係天空嘅 UAP。咁今次咧係首次俾你咧有少少係 USO 係咪即係 Unidentified Sea Object 係啊 USO 係啦，你會見到佢入咗水嘅。因為見到有水嘅波紋嘅陣間，咁呢個都過癮啦。入咗水又出翻嚟咧，依家暫時人類機體未做到。007嗰啲咧試過咧，即係架車可以入，即係潛水上翻嚟，但係慢吞吞噶嘛。但係啲超高速，我再講係快過而家人類最高速嘅潛艇咧4-5倍速度，好誇張。天空佢哋又係超快，水底佢哋都係超快，所以呢啲即係佢哋嘅科技嚟講係高過人類好多。
Or like a single line once they've dipped into the water, and then we're actually going to get a different angle on that. So right here, this is somewhat less compelling than this, because now it appears that they're actually traveling underneath the water. And to travel at that speed underwater is remarkable. I don't think I've ever seen anything that can travel above and underwater at the same speeds. And then here they are back out from underneath the water, and we're going to see them go back under again. So right here,
好呢度咧就應該係
beneath the water at this point.
好啦，落翻水又上翻水又落翻水咧嚇。咁當然佢加個水啱啱係水面啫，個水阻又未去到最咁犀利嘅。但係你睇翻我之前有啲好多紀錄片咧，尤其是可能俄國人嗰個 Man in Black 嘅紀錄片咧，都有特別講到有啲水底嘅 USO 嘅嚇。咁佢哋又即係出水能飛，入水能游，人類嘅機體未做到，佢隨時都得。吹咩？係啊，你冇去扶喎，仲有隊形嘅喎。咁你哇，你又仲話俾我聽呢啲係裝，仲有雀仔，唔係啩？你呢啲唔係迷唔信啊！呢啲根本就係你為咗你嘅迷信咧，而繼續生安白做，令自己繼續迷信。咁永遠俾幾多資料你都冇用嘅喎，因為你總係諗一啲嘅故事啊，或者諗一啲嘅藉口咧，令自己唔信。但係90%嘅人都會咁樣嘅，咁但係我哋都誠實咁面對嘅時候咧，咪即係坦誠真係唔知係乜咯，咪所以咪叫 UAP 咯。
So once again, I think that this is documentation that has high forensic value because it's not easily.
係啦，佢又再講，真係用一個法醫即係分析嘅角度咧，因為有新嘅觀點或者一個新嘅證據證明呢啲係 UAP 嘛。今次係首次咧，真係俾你睇到咧，入水能游，出水能飛。因為以前啲見證全部都係口講㗎，全部都係機師口講㗎，即係嗰啲戰機訓練中啊，佢哋話報告母艦航空母艦，我係見到啲咁嘅嘢喎。可能你見到啲 tic-tac 狀嗰啲啦，有隊形咁啊突然間又消失，又突然間喺邊度出現咗，又有啲係見到入咗水又唔見佢啦，咁有啲係睇住喺水嗰度飛出嚟啊咁樣，全部都係口述見證。今次係俾你睇到，其實係好爆㗎。咁但係我唔知啦，有啲人會覺得，又係黑白色嘅，又係蒙查查嘅，咁你就唔明白。呢度有幾爆啦，因為我哋等咗由79年嘅時候，首次有影片影住俾你睇，入水能游啊，出水能飛啊，幾劑添喎仲係。當然我唔係睇到清楚，咁但係呢度咧好似喺水面上，但係佢話依家係水底啦。不過 anyway 啦，再睇。
There are definitely going to be things we look at that maybe could be debunked, but I have no way.
佢話啦，會唔會有其他解釋咧 ？debunk 咁拭目以待咯。我自己角度咧。即係依家係美國戰爭部話得俾你聽嘅，即係你冇7-8成，即係你冇9成10成，都至少有7-8成係 UAP 嚟㗎啦。
Explain this without there being technology that's well beyond anything that's ever been released to the public.
嗱，你睇睇，哎呀，冇咗，你見到有啲咩唔同喺度？隊形變咗啊！頭先咧咪係串燒三兄弟嘅，右手邊好似個電單車咁，左手邊就加到個攝位啊嘛。依家咧變咗隊形啊，轉 formation 嘅喎。
High forensic value，
睇唔睇到？佢變咗咧，嗱我一站咁睇咧，變咗一條直線嚟嘅而家，睇唔睇到啊？一個帶頭，3個喺後邊 ，OK， 玩戰隊啊，合體分體。
There are definitely going to be things we look at that maybe could be debunked, but I have no way to try to explain this without there being technology that's well beyond anything that's ever been released to the public.
係啊，即係我覺得係 well beyond 嘅，因為即係好過你人類啊好多。起碼你而家入水 又冇入水啊。因為我哋啲人類做唔到就係咧入水嘅時候你點樣防水啊？做唔到呢樣嘢啊嘛。你絕對防水嘅時候你又做唔到噴射嗰個效果飛翻出嚟啊！如果你要有兩個系統嘅時候，你個機體咪好重。所以人類係未解決到呢個入水能游呢個問題嘅，就係會入水個問題。咁但係而家佢哋人類去解決到啊嘛咁你就算即係我當人類有一日解決到都好咧，你個速度未追到啊。
Now with this one, you're going to see an object fly by very quickly.
咁呢個就唰一聲嘅，咁有好多 UAP 都係咁樣嘅，咁佢都話呢個可能都會唔會真係中？咁但係因為依家睇唔到個速度啦，咁如果睇到速度應該都唔係中嚟嘅。
I think things like this have less forensic value because we're not seeing a style of motion.
係啦，佢自己都講呢個就唔係太有價值，我都覺得呢個唔係太有價值嘅，因為一來唰一聲就好快啦，係啊，咁同埋都唔係證明到啲乜嘢，不過就姑且睇下。
Not getting any real detail. We can't tell distance. We just know something flies by.
乜都冇，乜資料都冇。
While it's unlikely it would be something like an insect or an animal, because we can't tell distance, because we can't tell how close it was to the camera, it's really hard to fully eliminate that. So something like this might be able to be debunked.
係啦，因為唔可以係完全排除咧，即係其他可能性。咁呢一套片咧，呢一個位咧，就真係可能變咗2-3成係 UAP 啦。咁有時我哋覺得即係咁樣分析嘅時候，我覺得都公道嘅啊。即係俾你明白點解有啲 UAP 嘅片係值得睇啊，係好有可能係 UAP。呢一個咧就雞啲，就少啲可能係 UAP 啦。
Just watch this right here.
冇啦。
Alright, so you saw that black object just fly by.
不過嗰個速度真係好高。如果佢正常你冇加速嘅話咧，即係影片冇加速嘅時候，個速度真係高。你就算你啲飛鷹點樣係獵食嗰下咧，都唔會去到嗰種咁快嘅速度咯。如果你見過啲鷹咁俯衝嘅時候，
I'm gonna watch it a couple more times.
再睇。
So there it is, right there. And like I said, it may be something that is just as compelling as the other videos we've seen, but based on the limited amount of information we have, it has less forensic value in that sense. And here it is slowed down. Just watch this right here.
佢話減慢啲喎。啊，係啊，減慢咗。
So you can see it flying overhead.
佢係長
There it is.
喎。
It looks long and thick.
係啊 long and thin 嘅喎，唔係雀嚟喎，大佬。咁一樣啦，人類嘅中性冇可能有咁嘅速度，亦都唔係咁嘅形狀㗎嘛。咁究竟係乜嘢咧？唔知不嬲咧，去到咁近地面嘅 UAP 咧，都係嗰啲嘅鐵球啊，即係我哋叫鐵球啦，總之係金屬球。咁但係今次呢個係長條狀，唔知乜嚟喎。你唔好睇少嗰種金屬球嘅 UAP 啊。咁啊 Richard Doty 我之前都講過嘅前美軍空軍特工，佢有講過咧佢當訪問一個見過 UAP 嘅家庭嘅時候咧，嗰個家庭入邊有一嚿咁嘅嘢，突然間出現啊！有嗰個球狀發光 UAP 夾住佢哋咁樣，好得意。究竟嗰個係咪即係好似即係當個外星，我當即係外星啦或者非人類智慧生命體嘅流動 CCTV 咁樣咯，隨時夾你哋研究你哋入咗你屋企都得。
And obviously that's just the motion of the camera. I don't think that's the shape of whatever object this is.
係啦，有啲就賴落係嗰個鏡頭影到咁拉長咗啫。咁但係我見到佢咁樣因為呢一種嗰啲紅外線鏡頭咧，佢真係可以捕捉到嗰個物件形狀嘅。係啊，咁你頭先睇到啦，嗰啲 UAP 幾快都捕捉到佢嘅。雖然有啲位可能因為你對準咧有少少失焦嘅時候會蒙一蒙，咁蒙一蒙你都唔會拉長到咁樣噶嘛。所以我嘅選擇反而係佢個形狀係長喎今次。不過 anyway 啦，就唔係太特別。咁我哋再睇。即係會唔會嗰個入邊，如果真係有非人類智慧生命體，個外星人咁大隻，唔出奇喎。冇話俾你聽，即係如果有啲地外生命有或者非人類智慧生命體，一定係大隻噶嘛。佢可能係細細粒都得㗎，係咪啊？可能啱睇完，即係 Mandalorian 嘅 Grogu 咁樣，咁有一啲可能真係細細粒咧。
I'm gonna see it one more time in a slower.
唔使啦，又播睇第二個啦。嗱，真係唔係拉長咗鏡頭。
So like I said, that may be more impressive than it appears, but I think compared to the other evidence we're getting.
冇錯，即係對比其他爆啲嗰啲，譬如頭先入水能游、出水能飛咧，依個就係純粹長對啫，同埋好近地面，咁就未必係咁吸引嘅。
Things like that are more limited in movement. You're seeing an extremely fast movement. And this looks like an orb of some kind. That's the best shape that I can make out of it.
好快。
And we're going to see it move in some very strange ways in just a minute.
佢就
So if you're seeing its ability
開頭就直線嘅，佢話之後就會有啲古怪嗰個嘅痕跡，咁我哋睇睇佢古怪的方式移動啊！
to accelerate, it is unusual in that sense.
嗱係啦，佢突然間好似變咗阿米巴變形蟲咁樣，呢度去下嗰度去下咁樣，又翻轉頭，又停。
And what's so fascinating
嗱呢個就係又好organic啦嚇，好得意，好似個生物咁樣嘅。
as I talked about with some of the other ones, it moves almost organically. It moves almost like something that's alive.
係啊，好似一隻活物咁樣。咁佢今次第二輪爆料就係多咗一種會好 organic 喐動嚇，好生物性咁喐動嘅 UAP， 同埋可以第一次俾你親眼睇到佢又入水又出水，又入水又出水嘅。咁所以其實第二輪唔差喎，我自己覺得。我開頭諗住，又係呢啲嘢，即係我 lunch 第一次先嘅。咁我而家夜晚咧先至係錄製我嘅分析。咁但係我再第二次 depth 真啲嘅時候，其實第二波都幾特別嘅喎。即係唔好諗住慢慢又係呢啲悶啊咁樣。開頭我都講係咁，但係認真睇其實都爆嘅喎。呢啲係生物性嘅 UAP 嚟嘅喎，佢唔係一啲機體咁簡單。好似昆蟲咁喐嚟喐去，依家似阿米巴咯，嚟喺度又嚟喺嗰度。
Because when we think about the mechanical things that we have that fly, they have a very specific way of moving. Drones have more of a capacity to move in a more of an organic.
係咯，即係你就算機體就真係好似個機器咁樣啦。咁 drones 就可能就多變化一啲去解釋。咁但係依家你係超出咗即係 drones 嗰種移動啊嘛，佢好似真係有思想咁樣喎，喺度遊蕩根本唔係喺度飛緊。
Fashion. But not quite like this, I don't think. And obviously this is in the clouds, and clearly it's moving at an incredibly fast speed.
係啦，同埋依家有雲嘅時候咧，你其實都見到佢飛得快嘅，但係又唔代表咧人類機體未做到呢個速度啊。咁所以如果有對比會更加好，一陣間你會見到係同飛機鬥快嗰啲嘅，就唔係呢段嘅應該另一段。喺 Fox News 嗰度都出咗
Once again, this is being
update。
picked up with infrared cameras, which is why the quality is not quite what you'd want it to be. And then when you look at it accelerating right here, it's just remarkable how
好得意，同埋你睇佢形狀咧，扁扁地咧，好似係一個空中電單車喎，咁樣好似龍珠嗰種咁嘅感覺咯。你睇下，好得意，佢一個長方立體嚟㗎。你睇下，你睇睇係咪啊？嗱，扁平嘅嗱兜嚟呢度，又兜嚟呢度，又兜嚟呢度，又兜嚟呢度，哇！
We have government technology or the military.
係啦，你都可以又係反駁隊啦。呢啲可能係人類發明出嚟嘅咧，冇話唔得嘅。咁但係個問題就係，如果佢冇人類嗰種嘅熱指數咧，即係佢唔係用噴射技術嘅嚇，唔係用嗰種空氣氣流嘅力學嘅，即係傳統飛機可以起飛嗰種力學嘅。咁究竟佢用緊乜嘢嘅技術咧？會唔會就係已經複製成功就係個反重力咧？唔出奇嘅。咁就算之前我都有講過 ARP 嘅 Alien Replica Vehicle， 即係人類複製外星機體。咁多數係三角形嘅。咁啲人話見到UFO 啊三角形嘅，咁嗰啲其實應該係人類模仿嘅機體嚟㗎。咁但係今次我第一次睇就係一個長方形扁平狀嘅 UAP， 又係特別嘅喎。
Are not familiar with that in fact can move like this. It's very possible that there are things that just are not available commercially or publicly.
係啦，究竟係唔係一個嘅人類模仿外星機體咧？咁呢個都係一個可能性嚟嘅，因為我未見到佢突然間加速啊嘛。即係如果佢突然間加速到即係我哋普通人類機體追唔到嘅咧，咁嗰個就好可能 UAP。咁當然啦，如果人類係成功複製咗外星機體啦，或者非人類機體嘅時候咧，可唔可以突然間咁加速？我覺得都得嘅，只不過佢可能未量產，或者量產咗佢唔俾你知咁解啫。我哋再睇。
That can do these kinds of things, but when you see it, something like this that's caught on film, it's truly remarkable. And the fact that it's the Department of War.
我同意啊，即係佢俾你拍得出，其實已經係好誇張啦。即係好似頭先入水能游嗰下咧，再出水能飛，其實真係好誇張嚇。同埋有時見到佢變形啊，見到佢有隊形啊，隊形又再轉變啊。頭先我3-1嗰下嘢咧，真係3-1萬能俠啊！3-1然後咧變咗係左右平排嘅咧，然後又變咗係前面帶頭變咗條一直線咧。咁呢啲我哋真係要逐點咧係去分析出嚟，就唔好係咁容易就 let go 由得佢啊！ 你越分析得清楚咗嗰啲仔細唔同嘅地方嘅時候咧，你先明白點解佢一波一波咁樣爆咯。咁樣爆料話俾你聽，其實 UAP 佢所睇到嘅唔同嘅特徵咧，其實一浪接一浪，一層一層咁樣搭加上去嘅。咁最後咧，我相信就會俾你睇到嗰4種種族嘅相啊，或者係影片啊。
Leasing this makes me presume at least that this is in fact not something that is made by the American government. This is not some sort of military technology. But
嗱，你睇好似條蟲咁樣嚟喐去，咁當然啦，始終反駁隊佢覺得仍然係有機會係黑科技啊，係美軍複製外星技術啊，咁你都可以係咁講。但係就算你複製成功嘅時候，你而家解釋唔到啊嘛，咁都係 UAP 嘅一種啦，係咪啊？只不過你唔知道係非人類嘅 UAP 啊，定係人類嘅 UAP。
if it is, it certainly isn't anything that I've ever seen.
係啊，咁佢冇辦法，啲字幕佢一係就翻譯，因為佢係實時翻譯啊。咁有時佢實時翻譯需時，一嘢就爆晒啲字出嚟，一係就翻譯緊，冇辦法啦。你可以即係我邀請你可以自己再睇嘅。
See the way that it stopped and moved the other direction. I mean, clearly it has intentional movement.
有
And
一
it
個
continues to follow this for quite a while. I'm not going to go
有一個係同戰機飛，我唔記得咗係咪喺度睇啊？睇睇。
through all of it because we have so much footage to get through. But this is not some fleeting aerial phenomena that they caught. This went on for quite a long time.
又係 organic 嘅，佢唔係垂直線嘅，但係個相嗰個嘅鏡頭係咁追住佢啦，喺下邊啦。睇下先，下邊就啱啱我自己頂住咗，喺呢度，之後移上去喺個位啦。我哋再睇。
Now this one right here is
Yeah.
a little bit mind-blowing because this is such a distinct shape. That is such a
好啦，今次咧呢個 UAP 係特別嘅地方係咩咧？佢呢個 UAP 咧，佢係一個大波波嚟嘅噃，乒乓波，
distinctly clear circle.
係啊，一個波嚟。
Now, I know that
即係好似即係新世紀福音戰士裏邊啲使徒咁樣啦，使徒來襲咁樣一個波，依家又變咗形喎。
weather balloons has been the excuse.
咁又佢話最常嗰個推搪嘅理由啦，反駁隊就係啲天氣氣球啦，或者軍事用嘅天氣氣球啦。咁又信不信由你啦。
That the government has used
出
for
嚟
a
啦
long，time with various aerial phenomena.
又
I
變
don't
翻
think
波
weather
波。
balloons actually move like this. It's pretty remarkable to see. But what
如果你係氣球，又點會咁樣打橫喐咧？咁佢解釋唔到喎，即係佢唔係一個普通氣球啦，即係唔係人類氣球咯，佢打橫喐嘅喂。有冇熱指數冇噴射喎，唔知乜嚟喎。
once again, this has high forensic value because it's moving in a strange pattern.
係啊，
The look is very, very distinct. You can't easily debunk it by explaining that it's something else.
你即係唔可以隨便就話佢係唔係 UAP 咯，因為即係唔知乜嚟嘅大佬。一個波。
And it's not very aerodynamically shaped. I think having a flying ball
係啦，同埋真係唔似飛機流線型咯，一個波。
would be quite difficult with most of the technology that we're
係啊，如果你真係要靠人類嗰種空氣力學嘅話，係唔方便飛嘅噃。
aware of. Now, this is a separate video, but it is another ball that seems to have very odd motion. You see,
係啦，佢依家今次特別咧，佢又未必係金屬球，但係佢就會見到啲噴射唔知噴乜嘅，但係得意就係四面八方咁噴，咁咩嚟嘅呢個係？
glowing there, it seems to be blinking.
係啦，究竟佢斬緊係咩嚟嘅咧？
This is where I go back to when we talk about forensic value, when we talk about whether or not this is something that can be easily debunked. It feels impossible to easily debunk this. This is just
你冇嘢可以解釋到佢啊，好難去 debunk 佢，即係話佢唔係 UAP 咯。咁唯一嘅結論就係佢係 UAP。咁一樣啦，我哋未必咁需要快，即係一樣我哋唔需要咁快就跳到佢係外星飛船。但係好明顯，我哋真係唔知佢係乜，所以就歸類為 UAP 啦。佢一來又係波波嚟啦，二來今次個波波就會噴嘢嘅。
remarkable to me.
我覺得好 remarkable。Yeah。We agree on
Now, what's
that.
really difficult to tell is whether or not this is changing shape and blinking, or whether or not those are.
佢有少少變咗，我自己覺得。佢話好難講係咪變緊，我覺得有啲變嘅喎。如果你再放大逐格睇嘅時候咧，會見到佢變咗少少。嗱喺度 分體又有合體咁樣。
To tell us whether or not this is changing shape and blinking, or whether or not those are lights that are flashing. But therein lies the challenge with infrared technology. The level of detail we're getting is unfortunately not very good. It's good enough to see that it's as
因為有時可能佢係個鏡頭離遠咁拍到咧，咁佢拍嘅時候係高清，但因為離太遠啦，咁你再 zoom 嘅時候咧，咁無奈就會犧牲咗一啲嘅解像度，變得朦啲咯。如果你 zoom in 咗。
strange, but beyond that, there lies where the forensic detail it becomes very challenging. Is that we can't really see the detail enough to make a conclusive determination based on whether or not some of that's light bloom, whether or not this thing is actually changing shape.
有跳啦，
And because of the lack of detail, I imagine that some people will watch this and assume
係
that
啦，因為冇其他資料啦，咁呢個都係蒙查查啦，蒙查查就算鬼數啦，都冇乜特別睇啫。OK， 啊，依個就特別啲應該。
and this is once again, this is all provided by the DOW. I'm not the one that's doing this editing or zooming in. Now this is one that's pretty peculiar. This object
好
almost
奇怪嘅，你見到佢形狀都係好奇怪嘅，好似有啲星戰嗰啲嘅星戰機體咁咧，佢垂直咁樣啊，嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟，即係未必係一個 saucer 嚟嘅，啲 UAP 千奇百怪，咁呢個就係一個垂直形狀咁樣咯，垂直形狀。
appears to change shape. Now whether or not that's
佢話變形睇下有冇？
the way that the light is reflecting off of it,
哇！
the
嗱
motion
變啦
of
變
it
啦，
as it moves is
或者係喐緊嘅喎，佢唔係變形，都係呢條嘢喐緊，唔知咩嚟，
incredibly peculiar.
好奇怪，peculiar。
Because once again, it has a very organic sort of movement to it.
佢唔係好 organic，或者你可以話好 organic 就係一碌角咁樣停喺度，跟住喐下條尾咁樣撥下頭髮，可能企喺度咯，企喺度等人食支煙咁樣，企喺度等人。
And it's possible maybe there's some kind of illusion created by the sun or created
咦？佢又唔係靜止喎，而家再 double check，喐緊嘅喎，只不過佢係垂直咁去咯，或者一個定點定位咁去咯，因為背後嗰啲景象喐緊嘅喎。
by a reflection, but this does
喐緊
appear to
喎。
be changing shape in some fashion.
咁但係佢形狀有少少改變，唔知做乜嘢啦。
And something we look at forensically is when we can eliminate things. We can say what this isn't. I don't think anybody can say what this is, though.
我同意，即係我哋用一個排除法啦。佢唔係乜嘢，唔係乜嘢，唔係乜嘢。我哋好難講話佢係乜嘢，但我哋好肯定就講佢唔係人類機體咯。邊個人類機體係咁樣樣㗎？係嘛？然後就喺度變嘅，喺度變。我話佢彈支煙。而會右手
Now,
用
here's another
勁，
video
左
that
手
we have that is, once again, quite strange. And at least this
有隊形啊！睇唔睇到隊形啊？有隊形啊！
one feasibly, in terms of the motion, looks a little bit more familiar. This one looks a little bit more drone-like. That doesn't mean it's a drone, and we may see some maneuvers that are unrecognizable.
當然啦，有人又會話誒 drones 嚟啫，你嘢嘢都話 drones 咁樣。咁不過又講真，你 drones 用呢種隊形咁樣都有可能嘅，係啦，因為佢冇突然間加速啦，咁佢又冇突然間變形啦。
But as we can see right here, we don't have to eliminate all of these unidentified aerial phenomena. It's something that we can't necessarily recreate. I think feasibly you could create something like that or recreate something like that similar using
嗱，佢話真係有可能，我覺得有可能嘅，因為呢度咁離遠咁睇，你四格 drones 咁黐埋一齊咁飛，冇話唔得嘅。
drones.
所以呢個冇乜價值，所以反而
Here's
講。
another fairly
我覺得有價值嗰個咧係一陣間戰機射爆咗個 UAP 啊！咁我係最後嘅時候再講啦。咁嗰個佢都冇講到，因為太多片啦。咁係 Fox 度咧，佢一有新片或者一分析個新片，佢就講。咁我覺得個個都值得講嘅。咁呢個咧就喺沙漠上嗱，少有彩色啦，即係大家有時都話，哎呀，有時都係黑白嘅紅外線鏡頭。咁今次俾咗彩色嚟啦。不過意義不大，因為好遠，離遠太遠嘅時候咧，得個粒點咧，你彩色又如何？
remarkable video just because of the speed at which this is moving.
好快。
The shape and speed don't really make any sense relative to all of the planes that we have and any kinds of military technology
唔
that
知佢
we're
嗰邊
aware
去
of.
啦，呢度出翻嚟啦。咁有啲人會唔會就會話會唔會係太空垃圾咋？即係你衛星射落去嘅時候一個太空垃圾咁樣咯。咁呢個又係一個反駁隊嘅解釋啦。不過我都覺得真係佢 即係好隨意咁樣喺度反轉又反轉咁樣向前向
Now,
衝
I've。mentioned drone technology a few times, and I think that the reason that we have to be talking about that, at least considering that for some of these, even though they
呢個突
might
然間
not
加
be
速嘅，
technologically available when some of these were taken, when some of these videos were taken, if you see
好似玩
footage of drones doing light
好似玩梁祝咁樣嘅喎。追嚟追去咁兩點都撲跌嘅喎嚇。
shows, when you see all of them moving in unison, how quickly and smoothly they can move,
okay,
I do think we have to be
呢度
open to the possibility
That's
there
all
may be
maybe.
technology that we have that actually may be closer to this than we know. Now, could we have a manned vehicle with a human riding inside of that? Absolutely not. I don't think there's any chance of that. But I do
因為我諗我人類機體冇去到咁自由自在嗰種喐動咯，未去到咁樣咯，咁高速又咁自由自在咧，冇可能。咁係咩咧？都係 UAP 咯。
think it's not impossible that this is in fact technology that is of the earth that we have somehow created. Now, some of the other videos we've seen, I would say I don't think there's anything we've got that could create that. Some of these may
所以咧，佢嗰個軌跡咧好奇怪呢啲。咁今日咧，我哋就呢個 Doctor G 度我哋就講到呢度先。翻嚟就 Fox 呢個又刺激啊！哇，一炮打落去散晒。咁佢今次個 UAP 咧，你都可以反駁到就話純粹人類嗰啲嘅。如果有印象咧，嗰、個疑似係強過嗰個啦，成抽嘢咧好似一個校巴倒吊咁樣，嗰抽嘢咪穿越美國嘅。咁都視為一個 UAP 啦，咁啊美軍就打 Q 咗佢落嚟，咁啊特登喺淺海地方打佢落嚟就回收佢啊嘛。咁但係依一款咧就唔係嗰隻校巴倒吊嗰隻，依款就似上次咧好機車所講咧水母型嘅啊。咁但係特別就係咩咧？哇！如果佢真係啲非人類機體，點解會俾到你打到落嚟啊？又話佢哋好先進嘅。咁有一個理論嘅解釋就係咧因為如果啲係一啲良善嘅非人類智慧生命體啦，良善嘅，咁佢不嬲愛好和平嘅，所以佢哋所設計嘅科技咧，純粹係用喺運輸啊，用喺可能係造福佢哋自己物種福祉咁樣樣嘅啫，係反而唯有人類咧係可以殘忍到係自相殘殺啊，同類相食啊，即係佢哋發展嘅科技咧係為咗戰爭。係為咗 mass destruction 嘅 weapon of mass destruction， 所以反而人類咁專注咁發展一啲殺人科技咧，反而啲外星人應招架不住，佢嚟到佢諗住係和平嘅啫。哇！點解你班人癲嘅人類原來係，所以人類因為太專注咧發展武器嘅時候咧，反而可以打到一啲外星人咧落花流水。咁呢個唔記得咗邊套戲啊，或者有個理論嘅講法嚟嘅，咁你當係聽古仔先啦。
Today, the Department of War publishing a second round of declassified.
咁頭先我講咗啦，係10幾小時之前啦，14小時之前，即係第二輪嘅戰爭部解密啦。咁佢哋依家咧就 loop 到其中一條片咧，就係、戰機打爆 UAP。
UFO files, including this 2023 video, described as an F-16 shoot.
係 F-16 射爆佢落嚟嘅，咁呢個又唔係好似水母嗰隻。亦都唔係我哋之前所講強國嗰隻就巴士倒吊嘅，咁當然嗰個強國係冇認過嘅，咁但係唔緊要啦，咁美軍就回收咗佢咁如果有任何如果係人類所做嘅，佢都有晒證據嘅，咁呢個似蝌蚪喎，我覺得係啊，或者你當斷線風箏箏咁但係你冇理由係用咁貴一支飛彈打個風箏落嚟㗎，咁所以應該呢個唔係風箏嚟嘅。咁你見到咧？一嘢打爆佢㗎嚇 ，boom！ 係 F-16喺休倫湖上面打爆佢，打個 Chibaland 咧。咁呢個又係第一次嗱。之前有啲影片就話咧，佢哋 UAP 嗰個嘅科技先進度咧，好似有一個防護罩咁樣，飛彈射過去咧，支飛彈彈開嘅，即係好似詠春咁樣咧，4兩撥千斤嘅撥開但係今次呢個咧，唔知係做乜鬼。硬食咗，咁啊黐巴爛。國會首席記者。係啦，你越多 pictures 越多 videos 係咪越多答案咧？唔係喎，因為我頭先講咗啦，你 round two 裏邊咧有唔同新嘅元素即係譬如今次有入海啦。今次係有隊形啦， 今次係有啦，你見到射爆佢啦，你見到有隊形啦，你見到幾段片咧突然間加速啦。咁戰機並行咁飛咧係另一條啦，咁我費事再揾出嚟啦。咁佢依家有啲嘅 feedback 啦，咁我再聽埋啦。
On all of this for us. You have our attention, Chad.
Sandra, good afternoon. More pictures, more videos, more answers? Well, not necessarily, but certainly more questions. The Pentagon released this.
即係而家會越嚟越多問題，甚至可能俾你真係睇到嗰4種種族，至少所認識4種種族嘅喎。佢嘅相同影片咧，就算俾你睇嘅時候咧，你只會發問更加多嘅問題嚇。咁究竟佢哋係乜嘢？點解要嚟咧？
From House members, Florida Republican Anna Paulina Luna.
We had witnesses in tip.
咁講咗一個 Congresswoman 啦，靚女 Luna 啦，咁佢又之前講太快就係嗰8角星咧，就係輪天使啦，Ophalum 咁樣樣啊，太快啦，我覺得講得。咁佢就話佢就睇咗更加多嘅文件啊，更加多呢啲即係好爆嘅資料嘅話影片咧，佢覺得係更加需要再爆嗰啲俾大家聽嘅。
We had even former members of AARO, the director, actually attacking our witnesses. And so there is a group of us, bipartisan and bicameral, and people within the intelligence agency that are pushing to.
即係都話其實呢個爆料嘅過程咧，解密過程咧，佢啲見證人咧都係受壓力啊、受威脅咁樣嘅。咁你之前有嗰個第12人咧被暗殺或者被消失啦，咁所以其實即係依家其實同緊深層政府嘅角力係真嘅嚇。
That this directive is met.
One video comes from a Coast Guard infrared sensor that shows.
睇唔睇到？咁戰機有個 UAP 快過你，咁追唔追到好佢啦？我相信追唔到啦。咁而家俾你睇到，因為2024年嘅，都好新㗎，即係2年前嘅咋。咁你睇住個 UAP 快過人類戰機嘅時候咧，咁冇講到呢個戰機機體啲咩型號啦。呢個係海岸防衛隊，咁我哋可以 search 翻海岸防衛隊係用咩機體太多嘅。Southeastern 美國東南部海岸有個咁嘅 UAP 爬你頭，吹咩一樣啦！你見到個車尾燈當你贏，咁當然你見佢唔到車尾燈啦。
Syrian UAP instant acceleration. The Pentagon says this.
仲係即時加速咁樣樣，咁佢而家又係用翻頭先我哋播過嘅影片啦。咁所以咧有見及此咧就唔再特別播。咁呢一個 Congressman 咧又係睇咗好多爆料嘅。咁你睇翻我之前有幾段片我引過去嘅，其中一段片引過去就係佢去咗韓國嗰度咧，即係入過去嗰個 UAP 一個好大嘅 UAP 你去唔到啊！咁既然你搬去唔到嘅時候咧，就喺周圍咧起美軍基地啦。咁嗰個應該係韓國嘅。咁啊入過去睇，佢見證話真係有嚇。咁當然啦，如果你喺 Google Earth 上面睇嘅時候咧，就純粹係似一個博物館咁樣圓形圓頂形咁樣咯。但係嗰個其實係一個好大嘅 UAP 啊。咁佢呢個就係上次嘅8角星啦。所以一樣啦，我哋普通人就冇可能入到實驗室啦，冇可能係見到嗰啲第一身嘅證據啦。咁但係我哋可以選擇相信佢所見到嘅嘢嘅嚇。咁你覺得你認唔認為佢係一個誠實可信嘅見證人咧？咁呢個就取決於你之後嘅分析啦。咁我自己又選擇相信嘅嚇，唔通我信你咩？我梗係信佢啦。
The White House and the ODNI is looking for the next places to go investigate.
佢之前有講佢個 title 㗎噃，冇鬼咗添。佢之前已經有佢個 title 佢個名嘅，我睇下我揾得翻先。冇咗喂，算可能係另一個嘅新聞訪問片段啦。
White House and the ODNI is looking for the next places to go investigate.
Now the Pentagon's office studying UAP.
好嗱，時間關係咧，我就去到呢度啦。咁我盡量分析翻俾你聽咧，其實呢個第二輪爆料都有好爆嘅地方嘅，咁就係在乎你用咩嘅角度去睇啦。同埋我之前都一早預測咗咧，喺嚟緊羅茲威爾79週年嘅時候咧，應該7月8號嚟計啦。撞擊就應該7月6號嘅，上一報紙7月8號。咁好相信即係7月初之前咧係陸續咁爆料㗎啦。咁你而家相對第一輪嘅時候咧，其實都係 個零兩個禮拜。相對咧第一輪爆料嘅時候咧，其實真係2個禮拜之前嘅啫嚇。咁如果我而家咁睇咧，估計真係大概2個禮拜就有料爆嚇，2個禮拜又有料爆。咁依家就已經去到差唔多5月尾啦，咁可能爆到2劑，咁啊去到7月頭嘅嘞噃嚇。咁我哋就拭目以待啦。如果你歡迎上分享咧，請 like、share、subscribe，多謝各位，拜拜。